I wrote down as their fifth album. They have 8
I
albums?
get so I think they've released 3 like compilation albums, which should technically be considered their albums. Sawdust they basically just like all
Gotcha.
B-sides from other albums. I don't know.
Right.
They had a
Okay.
direct hits album in 2013. But yeah,
Brandon Flowers has 2 solo albums, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, Brandon Flowers, I'm not even counting those with it. They have
Right.
just. But anyways, this album, if I had to describe it, I would almost replay my whole conversation about the Foo Fighters last week. Not saying that it was like a totally boring album, but the Killers, I don't think are known for their albums as a whole. They're more known for like individual songs. I think this is maybe their most complete album, but it still kind of falls short of being an album where you're like, oh wow, that had a great narrative. Hot Fuss always holds like a genuine place in my heart, just because it was right there when I was growing up, like 13, 14, really grabbed me. This album doesn't have a hit like Mr. Brightside or All These Things I've Done or When You Were Young, but they're all really solid songs, like 6 or 7s, I'd say. And I think you could really enjoy this album. It does some interesting things. Brandon Flowers is very quirky and very corny. And Woody Harrelson actually reads a Bible verse before a song called The Calling. So does some interesting stuff. I just wanted to highlight one thing before, and we don't even really need to have a discussion. I don't think this is a album that is going to be on anyone's end of the year best of list. But I want to read you this lyric. It's from a song called Some Kind of Love, which actually I think is one of their better songs on the album. He starts off and he says, "You got the will of a wild bird." And then later on he says, "But you got the soul of a truck." What the? Yeah, exactly. All right. So yeah, Brandon Flowers, very quirky, weird. It's a solid list. I'd probably give it like a 6 or 7.
So I just have a question for you in general about the Killers. So where do you rank or think of them? Not necessarily rank, but how do you think of them as like the big among the big 2000s rock bands like the Strokes and Arctic Monkeys? Like, how do you think about them compared to the other big successes?
Yeah, I feel like I've been referencing this book a lot, but Meet Me in the Bathroom by Lizzie Goldman.
About New York rock scene.
Yeah, they talk about the Killers and Kings of Leon in there, and basically they were like, we wanted to be rock. We're talking about like the Strokes, the National, people like that, but the Killers wanted to be famous, and like that's really they make music that is rock, but it's like indie pop rock. It's very accessible. People can enjoy it.
They're always like over the top, like quote, like too much, right? Like, and this is just kind of them doing that again.
Yeah, they always. And they try to make each song like an anthem almost. It's, they just want to make another Mr. Brightside. And I think when you have a song that like captures people the way that some of their first album did, like All These Things I've Done or Mr. Brightside or even Somebody Told Me, you're always going to be trying to replicate that.
Right.
Just kind of the way
it makes sense.
It's what they know.
Yeah.
Why don't we move towards wrapping it up though?